So here's our scoring for 2018 number one. It kind of makes sense that the last one is going to have the highest number of points. That's why it was also a 10-minute video, is because it has more parts to it, so it's going to be worth more points. The first part, if we wrote that integral and we got our answer, we got 2 points. So that's where our points came from on there. On the second one, it was also 2 points. And it's interesting, it says considers rate out. So the fact that we somehow or other account for this minus 0.7, that was worth 1 point. And then the answer was worth 1 point. Kind of surprising because usually they target this number as being the other point, the like partway point, but they didn't. So, but you can't get the answer without having that 20. So we just have to make sure that we somehow took into account the 0.7 and that we got the right answer. And then for part C, remember I said it has no calculus in it. That's why it's only worth 1 point. So, and there's our answer. It's just worth 1 point. That's it. All right. And then so for part D, I thought the breakdown was interesting in part D because of the way their justification works and their points works. So considers R of t minus 0.7 equals 0. I don't think I really wrote that. So now I used that fact, but I didn't write it down. I didn't write p prime of t equals 0. I used it so I still get the point, but it was risky for me to not write it down because if I had gotten other things wrong, I still would have gotten the point just for writing r of t minus 0.7 equals 0. So it's a good thing to write that sort of early on in this problem, but I didn't do that. All right, and then, what's interesting then is, so we have this table of values with the 20, the 80, and the 4, whereas p equals 0, p equals 300, p equals 33.013. So what they did on their justification, they have 0, 300, and 2 different times, the 33.013 and the 166.57. So if you remember from our graph, the 166.57 is where p prime changes from positive to negative. And I threw that one out because it can't be minimum. So, but I did mention that they often include that as part of their justification, but notice that identifying 33.01 is the additional point. You don't get a point for 158.07. You get a point for noticing that 33.013 could have been a candidate. So if I forget about the endpoints and forget about everything else and I just solve the derivative and get 33.013, I've got 2 points out of 4 for that. Then number 1, it says answers, which means we have to have both the time and the number of people. We have to have both to get that 1 point. If we're missing either one of those, no points for the answers. And the final point is the justification. Notice that they have very little in terms of justification except setting r of t minus 0.7 equal to 0. That's their justification that these are critical points. We justified that by saying that p prime changes negative to positive. That's essentially the same thing, but you can't change negative to positive without crossing through 0. So that's their number 1 part of the justification. The other part of the justification is just their table of values. And again, you can omit the T2. If you have that table of values, you have full points for the justification. So that's where our points come from on number 1.